and welcome to the Priggya Arora Show, where we discuss law, innovation, and entrepreneurship with people who have been there and done that. I am Priggya Arora, founder of PA Legal, and our guest for today is Miss Anuja Aiyappan. She is currently working with Ericsson, and we have a lot of insights around innovation and patent to discuss today. Welcome, Anuja, on the show.
Thank you, Pragya. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
So, Anuja, we'll start with your life story and how did you become the person you are today?
Yeah, my life story, I did engineering and in information technology. After that, as usual, I started my career as a software professional. So I was working into as a software development. So I like programming logic from school, and even now I like programming logic. But after working for a certain time in the software industry, I was working with ERP solution, enterprise solutions and all. I realized I'm not the work is becoming monotonous. I'm not enjoying the work, and the learning curve is becoming stagnant. So there is something like you feel like you're just interacting with the system, even though we have project teammates and all those things. But most of your time is with interacting with the system. What more can I do? So I was thinking of looking for more options, higher studies, and what to do where I can maintain my technology. Because if you're going for MBA management, it will be diverting from your stream because I like the programming side. So then I was looking for different courses, came across this law course in IIT Law School. So it was like meets the one criteria is you need to have a technical background. So that was interesting. And 2008, 2009 recession period, this reuse and reusable IP was one of the common things. So that was the time I got to hear about IP also, the word. Before it was internet protocol, now it became intellectual property. So the shift from internet protocol to intellectual property. So I moved to that. I did the course over there. During that time, I worked as an intern with lawyers in the Kerala High Court, Madras High Court. Then it was like litigation, different. This beauty of our course, you're also from the same alma mater. So we are same. We know that we are known as techno-lawyers, but the advantage is we work on all fields of law. So was worked in like I got to work with constitution law, family law, civil procedures, copyright. So I was like, no, this is interesting, but somewhere something is missing. And next internship I did in an IT company. So I was like, oh, I'm come back to my own home. I feel like when I was interacting with inventors for inventions, new technologies. So I was like, latest technologies, I'm working with them, listening to them, hearing their ideas when I did the internship. So I said, I want to continue in a company or IT field back where use the IP knowledge. So I joined the company as a IP specialist and have been working with inventors, the latest technologies. Get so one thing is learning curve is always there. You need to know about the latest technologies. So for more than a decade now, we're working with IP, and every year get to see new inventors, old experienced inventors get to learn. So such things, and even interact with people across the globe. That is the beauty of IP. You're getting connected across the globe, and different jurisdictions, you have different things to learn.
Yeah.
That is how I am over here now.
Wow, Anuja. So we share, I think it is a kind of a very common story, I'll say, which I also share with you. Because for me also, when I interned in TCS for the first time in the field of intellectual property, I was like, okay, this is my ground. Uh, the software technology, high tech technology, along with patent, they sync so much and we feel home about it because somewhere engineers are in love with technology, and when we do law we find a place where we can apply them, and what a beautiful ground we have with software and high tech things where we can apply our legal knowledge.
Yes. And that interaction, right? That is the legal
Yeah,
now we get to, because we might not be developing it, but we are getting to hear the process,
correct.
entire idea about it. So that is the beauty of patent also, right? You get to hear the entire working. You need to know that to identify what is the value of it.
Correct. And Anuja, as you just mentioned that you have worked with so many lawyers, like the beginner level lawyer and the, some old lawyer, sorry, so many innovators, some beginner level innovators and some experienced innovators. Is there some differences that you want to probably let us know that you face while working with new innovators and experienced innovators?
New innovators and experience, there is a difference. New innovators, we need to give them a understanding about the IP, because for us, we know in daily we are working with patents, but we know for I'm specialized in patents. So if I say we have a bread and butter, we have three criteria: novelty, inventive step, and industrial use. So this three keeps on coming in our mind. We always put this criteria in our mind. So, but before coming to a new inventor or person who's new to the like process of IP, how do you explain to them? This three criteria needs to be explain to them what we are looking out of them, what are we expecting from them. So that is something that takes a bit of hand holding. And also like you set a pattern, because if you work with new inventors you can mold and set up the process. And experienced inventors, they know the process already, they know what we are expecting, what they are expecting from us also. So it's vice versa, it works properly. So they know the overall also, like what was the time taken. That is also one factor. So inventors get frustrated, some not frustrated, might be a wrong word, but time consuming activity, right? They have to be, it's not like you give it in one day, you get it in 1 month or 2 months. The process goes on for years. So they are like, they have to understand the time, but also at the same time, what was the value you're getting out of it? So that is one thing. And the way you talk to them, how do you extract the idea? Some likes to write a lot and give it to us. Some doesn't like to write. They are to the point. And just,
Yeah.
and how do we extract the idea? So experienced inventors also, that pattern is there. We set that pattern out there. So sometimes I am like we in my company, when I'm coming to company, so we come across experienced inventors. They might be working with different patent attorneys over there, right? So it will be like they have a different set process. So we learn from them also. So for each person, by and by, we get that pattern set. So I have done that long time. So that helps me out. So in experienced and novice inventor, there is a bit of difference, but by and by, within 1 or 2, they get learned and they get into the flow of the process.
Correct. I know first time anybody would file a patent after 2 months, they'll ask what happened to an application we filed it 2 months ago.
Yes.
And with experienced inventor, probably we won't get those calls for 2 years.
Yes, and also other thing is they'll forget about the patents, about it there. And when we ask, but experience, I have seen they keep a track of the patents. They know what is
Yeah.
the value.
Life.
They give back the inputs also when we call them or ask them for any inputs. Ask them, they know that someone in fingertips. Even for us, we find it difficult because we'll have to refer back to our notes or something. But they will be having it in their fingertips. So that is a difference. But I say it is good. You get the mix, because as I do take sessions for in college yearly, so their students, the way they ask questions is completely different from a researcher or an innovator in my company. So that different questions that comes, we also think in a different directions. So that help us to, and that help us to refine our process of thought, also thought process.
Correct. So, Anuja, you have seen the technology sector and the innovation sector, and because you are a lawyer, you have, on the ground in have a lot of experience in speaking to everybody in the technology and innovation sectors. So, what do you think are some challenges which innovators face? And probably then we'll talk about how do we get over them.
Innovators face, as I said, as for the new inventors, the same thing. It is about knowledge about the basics of, if you're seeing the patents part, it is about the understanding the patent concept. The cycle I always say is invention, idea, invention, and it would be what would be the next part is innovation or patent.
Correct.
So all ideas cannot be inventions, all inventions cannot be innovations or patents. So it's very difficult to make them understand that part sometimes, because
Yeah.
what is the patenting criteria? So they come up because every invention is their baby. Our
Yeah.
idea is there. They will be holding it tight with them. But how that once they get to understand it, then they are able to prove. So there's a lot of legal as well as technical process involved in this one. So that understanding of the process. So that is one basic outline, I would say, the starting ground. And the next is what, where, how, and when, because I have
Mm.
worked with researchers, I have seen college people also, academia. So what they do is they just want to do immediate publication. But it has changed. I'm not saying it is always there, but they want to publish their idea, even innovators, because this time it is money, time is money for them. So they have to bring it to the market, short-term goals. So they bring it to the market, what they want to, and get profit out of it. But when they put their idea in the market or in the public domain, they are losing the priority or a
Yeah.
patentable value. So what is the value out of it? How should they protect it? So that is one of those. And what form of IP? That would be another question, because it's not just patents. Because
Correct.
if you have a graphical user interface, it can be going for a copyright, and brand value, you go for a trademark. So they need a professional help of an IP specialist in certain areas where to guide them. And then it is another one would be the cost and time involved. Because cost is also another factor. It is not so easy to file in all jurisdictions or identify the business need and to see where you want to file and how much time. Because time also, as I said in before also, time is involved in the patenting process as well as the branding and all those activities. But to the time to market, how so they should be coming at the starting of the idea or that phase. So once there they understand that part of it. So that would be one I would say another challenge. Finally, I would say competition. That, as I said, from other competitors. So if it is a because we see incremental changes. If it's easy to work around, they will not get a market. So each other but another a competitor can have a market by just working around it and bypassing their solution. So they've spent so much time and energy in protecting their idea, bringing it to market. It can be duplicated. And another one is first to file. People
Mm.
forget that first to file is for patents many
Correct.
a times. So they protect their idea. They should not keep it like a secret, great secret. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it works. So these are the main challenges I would say that comes to for an innovator.
These are so good. So basically, I think all of these challenges are basically based on education of innovators, because IP as a subject is not taught to any innovators, and
Yes.
I do not personally think that like innovators go and read about IP and get knowledge, because that doesn't happen, especially when they think that it is, a legal subject. It is very difficult to study for engineers. I think that kind of perception is there in the mind of innovators. So
I would say,
sometimes,
but there's a difference. Sorry, that is like now it is changing because
yeah,
just recently I read there was an article about Indian Institute of Science filing three patents in like two patents in 3 days. That
yeah,
frequency or something last year, and even yeah, IITs have this IP cell. We know about
correct.
Kharagpur. We used to facilitate IP cells over there. Other IITs or us and colleges, as I said, I am taking sessions for them. Innovation management
Mm,
courses are there, but still theory and practical is
correct,
different. That is
correct.
one thing I would say. Theory is because we also, when we were doing theory, it was, but when we come into the practical application of it, we get to learn a lot.
Correct. So probably what I meant is IP as a skill, it's very hard for innovators to learn. But I think it is important because forming a right strategy on the other hand is equally important. IP which is useless should not be spent money on. and should not be propagated in terms of innovators. Or I see some lawyers also propagating, okay, the number of registrations will take you here, but I am of the opinion that okay, only useful IP should be filed or should be registered or should be spent money on. So I think a lot of the challenges have are somewhere related to the skill and knowledge of IP that is available to the innovators. So can you think of something which we as patent attorneys do to make the process simpler for innovators?
Yeah. If you say that, like, as I said, the knowledge, first we can, when an innovator comes, because let's say a person is approaching a patent attorney, first you need to understand the level of knowledge that person is having about the about IP.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about patent, what is the patentable criteria? What are we looking for it? So first might be to educate the person. So that should be the first step for it, to understand, as like evaluate the person's knowledge and understand how much you need to expose them and how much you need to guide them. And then the next stage would be about understanding the invention,
Yeah.
because they come up with the invention. If we both should be in the same ground with the inventor as well as the patent attorney
Correct.
should be in the same ground of understanding the invention. So here I have seen, I'm saying this from a company perspective, but others also, you should, because you need a lot of details from the inventors. Documenting, some people write like to document. So if they have this detailed document, design documents, or low level, because I'm saying from my software development side, but if that is coming, it's good. Sometimes some innovators doesn't have anything, they just have an idea and a solution.
Yeah.
So they have a, is it feasible? So have discussions with them. I would say the first step should be the idea discussion, understanding what is the business need. So business need would be the first one. Then taking up what is the problem it's trying. Because I have seen inventors, they have a solution. Why was the solution created? What was the main problem? There was multiple problems. They will come with that. So we do is reverse tracking about what was the problem for this main problem they created this invention. So identify the technical problem out of it and what would be the core technical solution you're trying to protect. Multiple, you have this unity of invention. They will not understand what is the unity of invention at the starting. As a new inventor, I'm saying innovator, but you take up the main essential solution out of it and advantages and disadvantages. Then do a prior art search, because they get intimidated by seeing the patent language. We were also, when we first read a claim for the first time,
Correct.
okay, this is how the claim language, but now we know how to do the claims. It is there, and we are dealing with it daily. So then how to do a prior art search. It's not just patent, it is non-literature, non-patent literature and anything. So it could be a blog also. We get from blogs and everything. So help them to do a prior art search and identify what is the difference. So this will help in enhancing the idea. Like as you said, you wouldn't prefer to do an idea which is not having potential. But at the same time, ideation helps to enhance the idea. Give them a direction. You have not explored this area. There's a green pasture. You can look into this one. So this is some area you can look, divert your attention, which you have not thought about. So that is one thing you can look into. So giving them directions about it. Then going into, so if you see, you evaluate the idea, you feel the idea is valuable, then you decide on what you want to go. Like you need to get the details from them. So some would be comfortable writing full documents, some would be only able to explain. So you need to capture. So it is setting up that process. Whichever is comfortable for the inventor, you have to mold yourself or change your way of working, pattern of working accordingly. You can do a recording of it, or you can get it written from them, or sometimes pictures. I would say sequence diagrams and flow charts, because I used to draw blocks when I was starting with inventors. I used to draw blocks and tell me, like, I used to, that software background of mine used to help me. So you have a module like this. These are the different modules. What is the main module? Some are like input and output is a common module, but unavoidable. You need that. What is the input? But in between, what is the logic which is coming? Can you put it in a flow? So picture, it's like it talks 1,000 words. It's easy to represent. So that could be one way of doing it. And then help them with the prosecution. based on the identify their business need, because they would not have an understanding about what patents is allowed by different jurisdictions. So if we are saying US, they want to do it, or EP, or if it is Europe or India. So different. India, we know CI, computer implemented inventions, we would be thinking twice because it's still developing. It is it's a bit challenge, but we know what. And the way it has been prosecuted. So, and the market study also, that could be also done a bit. So companies will have a strategy. Every company will have a strategy where they want to put their product. We have seen when this during COVID, Serum Institute, they had the strategy which all they might be filing. I'm not looking to their complete portfolio, but they had a strategy which all company where they will file their patents. Pharma, it is different. For product, it would be different. For a technology service company, it would be different. So that is one thing. And make them aware of the cost. As I said, the challenge is their cost and time involved also. They should be aware of that part also about you give them an idea because we are in this field, we know what would be the challenges to them, help them so that help them to help with the technical and legal works and free them for the commercialization and development work. I would say that the way we should be separating it out.
I think very rightly said that first part is IP has to be a part of business. Like you just mentioned, IP strategy, business strategy. We need to understand the business. Then only we can probably understand IP and whether it is useful or not. And then, as you mentioned, and probably every drafter I speak to, I try to make them understand the importance of flowchart. You know,
Yes.
I know it is very simple. It's like, Anuja, I'm asking you to tell me the flow of your invention or how your invention is actually going to work. But I'll say 80% of the time inventors themselves do not have that clarity. And then when we ask them that question, they are able to give us the right flow chart. Unless we ask them, I feel, especially with the new inventors, only 20% of the inventors would be able to give us a clear flowchart in the first place. Like seeing the flowchart, we are able to write the claims in that format. It
Yes.
doesn't happen. We have to have iterations or inventor calls or invention understanding calls with the inventors to know the exact flow. And probably when once we know the exact clear flow of the invention, it becomes very easy to draft the invention.
Yes.
And
And
the
also you can ask them to highlight which is the main core steps
correct,
because all steps are not need to be included in our main claim, right?
correct,
So they are not having an idea about what is the independent claim, what is a dependent claim. So those things also help us during this ideation. It gives us an idea. It helps us to frame that claims in our mind when we are discussing the idea itself. So we ask them, do you think this is important or this can be avoided in the
correct.
main part? It can be an optional step. So such things also, I like when we discuss and figures, that really helps a lot. So they also go into the thought process. Okay, I can avoid this step. I don't need this in my solution. Somebody can, because this becomes a mandatory part of the main claim. If we put in the claim, we have to map it to our other infringing solution, right? So infringement, we have to map it. So if we can avoid it, that is better to avoid. But at the same time, what is the inventive aspect of it? One another challenge with inventors is
Yeah.
inventive step. I still remember one of my inventors long time back. They came to me saying, see, this is a major solution. This is generating millions in value because nobody has come up with so it was a testing solution together coming and all those things. It's not valid. So they wanted to protect the whole solution together, like all the modules. These modules were existing in silos. They were available. So they had put it together. But they were like, when I saw their idea, it was just, but after 2, 3 rounds of discussion, I was asking them, what is the challenge in integrating all the three together? So
Correct.
that forms your idea. The integration of the different solutions together, they form a complete workflow. So that should be your part. How do you integrate? So they were a new inventor. So, but they learned, and after that, it was long time because I've left the company, but they still I still have good contact with them. They say that patent was granted. That was we. I also feel happy because the way they thought and they worked on it.
Yeah.
So that is different. I would say the flowchart really works. It really works for me, I would say.
And it works for everybody. I've seen drafts without flowcharts, and I'm like, oh my god, it's very difficult to for a patent drafter also to understand what's written there.
Yes.
So it's like if we do not have a clear flow, we try to confuse the examiners and controllers with what we have written.
That is true. That is true. And also, it's challenging also during prosecution. What is
Correct.
the main steps we have? And that comes when we have to monetize it or commercialize it after a granted patent. Why did we put this step or why was this term even included? We
Yeah.
find that mapping of the term itself is a challenge for us.
Hmm.
So sometimes it is unknowingly we be like it is clear, giving more clear clarity, but it might not be needed. Already it might be having it will be having sufficient clarity and all those things. It's clear. We must have put a word which might be becoming a challenging part later. So that is, and inventors wants to put everything in the main claim. That is also their
Yeah.
new inventors. They have always want to put everything into the claim. Say, no, this step is important. This is important. I said, do you think this we can move it to the dependent? We'll retain independent. So that is also good. That's a uh, as an attorney, make them understand what is
Correct.
independent, what is dependent, what is the advantage out of it. And by, as I said, experienced inventors, right? They get to understand that process and then they will tell us, see, this step should not be, and we can have
Yeah.
sufficient fallback using this dependent claim. So that is the part of an experienced inventor.
Yeah, sometimes generally in software inventions, I'll ask, or the high tech area, I'll ask inventors, what is the novelty here? And probably first answer they'll give us is, we have integrated this with the Wi-Fi, we have integrated this with the Bluetooth, and then we'll have to dig deeper to understand where exactly is the novelty, because Wi-Fi and Bluetooth cannot be novelty. It's
Yes.
already existing in the world. So okay, this does not have to go into the main claim. This can be for the dependent, but for the main claim, we need to dig in to the invention to the level till the time we understand, okay, this is the feature because of which forms the heart of our invention, and because of which we'll be able to get the patent, because this feature is probably not disclosed in any of the prior art, or it's not publicly available. So that one key feature is so important for us to understand as
Yes.
patent drafters.
That is very true. So that main crux of it, how do you extract the crux of the idea, main
Yeah.
crux of the idea from the inventors? That is something you as a patent attorney, it's, when you interact with so many, by now you also would have, and you'll be understanding, right? Different inventors, different approaches also.
Yeah.
Because as I said, I have some inventors, they write. We have to pick from that writing. Is this the main step? Is this we highlight and show it to them? Some people like they would like to draw the pictures. I say these are the main flow sequences. So different ways, and some will just go on discussing, talking about the invention. Then we'd have to stop. Please, this is the part of it. Can we have more details? But they also understand and they learn from it.
Yeah, I know. So Anuja, you generally work on the fence. Like on one side, there are lawyers and the attorneys and the legal fraternity. On other side, there are innovators and inventors and people who are working in corporates and have some kind of acquaintance with patents, and they want to file a patent. So you interact with both the worlds. So what, according to you, like how do you bring lawyers and innovators on the same page? Because it is difficult to work with both, but when you're working with the mindset with the lawyer will feel like, okay, Anuja has to tell me all of these things, but innovators would be like, okay, Anuja is asking so many questions. So how do you balance that stuff?
It's a bit difficult, but as I said, you when you interact with a person, you understand about that person and whether their knowledge. So how to identify that what is required out of it and get to extract. So I usually have one round of discussions with them. First, if it's an innovator or an inventor who's approaching, I mainly work with process patents, implementation process patents, and that is my field, and artificial intelligence and other areas, software areas mainly. So that way around, so when they come, I ask them about the invention. Some doesn't like to write. As you said, I'm
Yeah.
asking so many questions. We ask them to write in the first step itself. If I'm saying, put time in writing the whole description or the invention disclosure, write the invention disclosure completely. They will not be happy with it because we have to evaluate it. Is it having a potential? So I would say for an innovator, I would prefer to have the discussion first to understand the discussion, then they understand whether it's having value or not, and then go forward with the next step. So that is one thing to facilitate because new inventors, as I said, they get a bit frustrated with the timelines because they are not just doing this patent work, they're having other development work and other areas. It's not just this activity going on. So that is one thing. So make them understand. Then, as I said, claim language. So I help them with the prior art searches because that is something it is our forte. So I do the search, or if it's the experienced inventors, they come with the search. They know what is the research. They know non-patent and patent literature, even other areas. They know what is happening. But with other inventors, sometimes they tell me, "Can you do the search and come back to us? Help us with identifying this idea is having a potential or not." So that helps us to set up the ground about it. And then each stage during drafting also, if the idea, so we have to decide whether to file or not to file and whether it's having value. If it's having potential, then only go ahead and collect the details. Or sometimes they come, experienced inventors, as I said, the difference. Experienced inventors come with a detailed document. So they know about it, they identify, we have a discussion. So it is something. So sometimes other inventors like to do whiteboarding. So they do whiteboard discussions. I like that part when we discuss and come up with like improving the idea. So this is the part. Then throughout, keep them we have to get inputs from the inventors because we might not be knowing what is happening completely in technology and what is getting implemented because the inventors knows about the invention. So they have to, like when we are going through the prosecution, get inputs from the inventors. So now going to the as a lawyer part, you need to get more information from them. Ask them in the right way because we might know if we ask them the legal terms, if we go and give them a search report, let's say that search report, they will be like, what is this number? So many
Yeah.
patent numbers and all. So I try to like, if they don't know, they don't understand, sit with them one round, explain what is the and where they have to look into it. What all objections has been raised by an examiner? Can you give technical differences? Write questions like pinpoint questions, what you want to get from them, rather than asking everything. Look into the document, read. We send it across most probably to get because they might be having an idea, but highlight what is required. So that not really helps in getting these are the few uh, what you say the uh, techniques or methods I do use for helping innovators as a lawyer as a drafting person when I approach an innovator. Then when we work with lawyers outside, we work with both sides, right? So we have to do during commercial activities also. That time also we have to provide inputs. Sometimes we have to that time we are and the other side getting more details. We need to, that's why I said, when we need to think, why did we put this term in the claim? How can we go work around with that term? Is there sufficient support in our, what do you say, our description to support that term? All those things we need to think from that angle. So it is not something the inventors will do because we have to do it, we have to help them. And that is something that is for a later commercialization or when the patent is getting granted. So think about the future as a lawyer while drafting and help the innovators get the technical details while discussing with them, I would say.
Perfect. I'll keep this in mind so that it's the process is comfortable for both the parties.
Yes.
So, Anuja, as you just mentioned about AI and you work in the field of software and in uh, AI, software, and high technology. And this is the kind of new thing which is going on. So, can you throw some light on what is actually happening in the field of AI and innovation? How AI is impacting innovation and how the future looks like?
AI is the buzzword which is everywhere. It
Yeah.
is there in every field. If you see, everywhere we see machine learning or a model or AI being in. So inventors also comes with it. I'm seeing many applications or even from others. It's not just in my company. Everywhere we're seeing automation or some improvements using AI. So it has come as it has given new developments into the technology, new developments have come up, as well as it has improved the existing technologies also. So this is something which is going to remain and it will evolve more because it is still we cannot predict what it was because neural networks has been there
Mm.
from 90s. It is their history if we look into it, but how that has developed into different fields of it and the way the recent bus chat
Chat
GPT.
GPT.
So it is like nowadays we are reading in the papers every day or in the news. And I also tried it. It was so human like. It is, but
Yeah.
in one way, it will be assisting the disabled people. So if anybody with disability, it will be helping. So it has a constructive side to it, but
Mm.
at the same time, it has a destructive side also, ethical
Yeah.
side. Because recently we were reading about, I read the article where they tried ChatGPT to write the abstract of researches and
Yeah.
try to identify the people where the guides were looking, researchers were doing identify which is the one generated by chat GPT and what is done by a human. So they mixed it up. And
Mm.
100% plagiarism check, it passed. And the other one was 86 and 80 percentage or 83 percentage. So human and software, it was only in the same range it was doing it.
Mm.
So that way around. I was having a chat with one of my friends. They were saying now they don't know whether the student, their researcher is writing the paper or chat GPT is writing. Same time, my other friend was saying about she has used it to generate a chart for diet chart
Yeah.
where you give the macros, calories, everything, just helping them to do that. So it is like different people are having different experiences. It is helping, but how do we evaluate it? So this is where I would say Stephen Hawking's prediction about
Mm.
AI. So if it's a short-term impact, we know who is controlling it of AI. Short-term impact, but long-term impact, whether we can control it or not, that
Yeah.
is something is a bit scary also. So that is like it primitive forms, it will be like it's already proved it's useful. But
Correct.
if we have to create something or it is matching the human brain or level,
Yeah.
surpass it, how do we control? So that is a bit, when we read his theories and his vision about it, it's a bit scary. So we need to learn how to balance it. Only future can tell us. So if somebody surpasses human brain, who's going to control it? So
Yeah.
now people are suggesting putting chips in the brains, all those things,
Yeah.
mimicking the brain. So AI is too advanced. So it is there, but as I said, two sides of the coin. It has pros as well as cons to it,
Mm.
and innovation also, patent system also. It is we are facing challenges. It's equivalent to a computer or a software patent, but at the same time, it is incremental patents we have seen, incremental in. So how long will it stay for, or it's suddenly changing? So what would be the challenges with it? So those things are ones which we are still exploring, and we are, as you've seen, every patent office is coming up with asking for comments, asking for inputs
Yeah.
from, and having sessions. WIPO had the 6 sessions, so all these things. So they have been having continuous. So everywhere it is the talk. So it
Yeah.
will continue, I would say.
I'm sure it will continue, because we were discussing about chat GPT examples yesterday. Only I was reading a story, and at the end of the story, in authorship credit, it was written the author's name and chat GPT. So the author himself wrote that chat GPT has helped me frame this storyline. So it's not 100% of mine. The software has helped me frame this storyline. So I mean, new way of generating ideas. And I was planning a trip, and I have my personally I have used it to create my itinerary for the trip. So I
Yeah.
told ChatGPT that I'm going for these many days to this place. Can you frame an itinerary for me? So it asks simple questions like, what kind of hotels would you like to stay in? At what
Yes.
time are you coming? At what time are you leaving? A question which I expect a human being asking.
Yes.
And then it framed the whole itinerary and gave me, though, this is your itinerary.
That is true. So the way it is interacting is human-like. Because when I was experimenting it, it was so I'm chatting with a person. It is not somebody, a robot or a system or a model is generating. And the way it is giving in output is also like we feel like, okay, somebody is teaching us or doing the job for us. And we'll get into the comfort zone also with that. As
Yeah.
you said, the itinerary, right? Previously, we have to sit and, as you said, we'll make an Excel or a paper, write down this time we are reaching, which transportation we have to take, how much time we have to spend. Here, everything is given to us in form.
But I hope that whatever information it has given to me, it better be true. Otherwise, I'll go to the place and I'll wonder where am I?
Yeah, that is the part. That is also one of those things we say models can be corrupted. So
Mm,
data, how there was a debate about AI failure, like AI models being corrupted and
correct.
making biased decisions. So
Yeah.
that could also be there. So ChatGPT, we cannot say we will have to use our human intelligence and knowledge into it and see whether we can take the value out of it or not.
Probably we'll do one session of unbiased AI and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Anuja, now we'll enter into our quick rapid fire round. Answer these questions
Okay.
very quickly. Three things that you are grateful for.
Things. First would be my family and loved ones for their love, support, and being there for me. They believe in me. The second would be my teachers and mentors who have taught me and mold me into who I am, help me to become who I am. And coupling with this, it will be Almighty's blessings and opportunities. That's like to face every challenge in my life. So these three I am always grateful for.
Perfect. Now, two traits that you think are useful for innovators.
Two traits. If I say in general for an innovator, it would be like to vision to strategically identify long-term goals
Yeah.
and plan ways to achieve it. So it is a general trait, I would say,
Mm.
for any innovator, because if you don't have long-term. The second one, I would say with respect to patents, because but from a patent process, I would say, it would be to ability to act with speed, because you have to come up, because first
Yeah.
to invent, then diligence, because you have to be diligent and doing it. And last, even though I said speed, patience with the
Yeah.
patient patent process. So this is the two traits I would say, one general, one patent.
Wow, that's so good. And one aspiration you have for the future.
For my future, I would say my future aspiration is to continue exploring in the IP field as a patent attorney. And also, I'm interested in working in data privacy
Yeah.
because data privacy with related to intellectual property matters,
Mm.
IP matters, because it is a rapidly growing field, fast growing.
Correct.
And I want to understand and gain knowledge about the various aspects, challenges in it related to protecting one's data and IP.
Hmm.
Now, so that link is a bit, I have not seen much of it. Data privacy IP is there, but what
Hmm.
could be, and I like to explore that.
Wow, awesome. I know it's an upcoming field and it is going to be in use a lot. Like in the
Yes.
coming future, it's not even away, it's there.
Yes. And we have seen in our submission, right, from DIPP. So it
Yeah.
is like the cost they have said as punishment is
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting also. India, it is, we have seen during COVID, our numbers, phone numbers, mobile numbers has been sold out like anything. I get continuous calls. There is no privacy with our phone number. So,
Nothing. I don't
something,
even think messages, anything is private in our phone. Nothing is there.
yeah. And D&D doesn't work.
Yeah, it
If
doesn't.
you put the D&D also, I have to tell the loan application, I don't need a personal loan. I have already asked you to remove me from the list. Okay, we will remove. Next day, I'll get the same call.
Yeah, I know. So, Anuja, any final thoughts before we conclude this podcast?
Okay, finally, I would like to express my gratitude for having me on the podcast. Thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts and ideas with your audience. And I enjoyed the experience. It was great talking to you. Like, it was just going on. And hope the audience also finds this talk informative. And because a lot of information we have shared is from my personal also. And look forward to continued support and working with you in future.
Thank you
So,
so much, Anuja. It was wonderful being with you and learning for you, and probably we'll be able to bridge the gap between lawyers and innovators. Thank you so much for your time.
thank you, Pragya. It was nice chatting with you.
Hey there, thank you for attending today's session. If you enjoyed the session, do follow our channel and consider sharing it with a friend. My name is Priggya Arora, daughter of inspiring parents, alumna of IIT Kharagpur, engineer turned lawyer and entrepreneur, and now founder of PA Legal, where we help creators and innovators protect their intellectual property. Thank you.